Good afternoon. This is going to be an anecdote to be interpreted into simultaneous from English into Spanish. I will start now. Hello. As you may know, I am Luisa Portocarrero and studied translation and interpreting at University for Females, UNIFE, in La Molina, Peru. I studied only with girls, but it was quite interesting and fun to go there. I chose UNIFE because back then it was the university with most interpreters in the Peruvian market. In 2000 or 2001, most interpreters graduated from UNIFE. Their training program was quite extensive and quite intense. Also, please remember that back then, only 2 universities offered interpreting and translation as a career. And yes, I'm talking about Ricardo Palma University and my alma mater, UNIFE. So, since I did not have much choice, I opted for the latter. Only 2 years after graduating and 1 year after incorporating my own company, I was called to work as a press interpreter for Apec. Apec is the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum, 2008. Peru was the host country, and more than 126 meetings were held all around the country. I remember traveling so much that I could not remember where I was in the mornings. I could be in Cusco on Monday and Chiclayo on Friday, and by Monday on the next week, I will be in Pucallpa. I was honored and pleased to be hired as press interpreter since I had the opportunity to meet many officials, ministers, and leaders from all over the world. In December 2008, when the summit was coming, my company bid an offer, but we were not awarded the grant to provide interpreting services at the International Media Center. It was a bummer, but life had another surprise. I remember that Monday morning when I received a fax. Please do not laugh. And I hope that you know what the fax is. I received a fax with a letterhead. I received a fax which letterhead bore the emblem of the government palace of Peru. I was quite excited since I was requested to quote bilateral meetings for the late President Alan Garcia and some Apec economic leaders. I submitted my quote and got hired by the President of Peru, the late Alan Garcia, and it was an amazing experience that I would like to share with all of you today. There were 3 bilateral meetings in which English was needed. One was with the Sultan of Brunei, as you can see on the picture. On the day of the meeting, I arrived 2 hours before the meeting since I was too excited and terrified of being late to the government palace and to miss my chance not only to meet the president and make a good impression, but also to do a good job. Therefore, I arrived very, very early and quite eager and was led to an office adjacent to the presidential main office. Let me tell you, the government palace is amazing. Architecture is beautiful and the decoration is breathtaking. However, I was so anxious that I look back now and everything seems like a blur. I cannot remember much of it, only the exquisite coffee I was served and all the protocol guidance provided by the head of protocol. I was in this adjacent room and someone said, "The president would like to meet you before the meeting." I had the words of my late grandmother telling me, "I'm so excited you are going to meet Alan Garcia. Please thank him for all the good Abra brought to my land." My grandmother was a settler in the jungle of Peru, Satipo, a region of Junin province, and she was very fond of Abra political party. My speech is not an endorsement to this political party, nor shows my personal political views. I am just sharing my memories and anecdotes with you, okay? She wanted me to thank him, and I had my speech prepared to address the president. And in my head, it sounded quite grown-up and professional. I planned to say that I speak English, French, Italian, and Spanish. I have even planned to greet him in French, but everything went down the drain. Nothing went as planned. I wanted to tell him how honored I was to be there and that I will convey all the messages as accurately as possible. But as soon as I entered the office, I felt his huge presence. And I'm not talking about his size. Yeah, he was 6 feet tall. Quite tall, I'm sorry. But his energy was so great that even sitting down, you could feel him feeling the entire room. He was so intimidating, charming, with a big smile on his face, and told me, "Good evening, ma'am. Thank you very much for being here with us. You certainly are needed. So tell me, how many languages do you speak?" And I froze. It happened. I had just a little voice in my head saying, "Tell him. Talk to him. Open your mouth." But I had heard myself in this mousy voice and quite tongue-tied saying, "I speak English." And that was it. I lost my voice. I wanted to die. My throat was parched. He was not impressed. I could tell. He was impressed later, thank God. But well, he thanked me for being there. I shook his hand and nodded with a barely audible, "My pleasure, Mr. President," and was let out of there. When the Sultan arrived, we went into this special room, and as you should know, interpreters need to be out of the picture frame. So the picture or the photograph only depicts the two leaders or the important people in the room. Luckily, the palace reporter took this photo for my records, so I can share it with you. The meeting went smoothly. I cannot tell you what was discussed because, well, it's confidential, and also, honestly, I cannot remember. What I do remember is the Sultan's interest in stopping some practices that were harmful to the environment, such as slash and burn method for agriculture and cooking with wood, because his country also has a big rainforest like ours. The Sultan only spoke Arabic, so his Minister for Foreign Affairs did the consecutive interpreting into English, and I did the consecutive interpreting from English into Spanish, and then back from Spanish into English, so the minister could interpret it back into Arabic. It lasted only 30 minutes, but I felt it lasted a couple of hours. After this meeting, other two were held, one with the Prime Minister of Australia and the other with the Prime Minister of Singapore. I'm coming to an end of this presentation now, so don't worry, hang in there. Lessons learned from this experience are to be prepared. I had to read a lot about the three economies, what was their interest in Peru, together with any commercial or economic ties with our country, and also I learned to be on time. I cannot express with enough words how rewarding this experience was. I was over the moon and back, and I still are. Sometimes, in this profession, you do not know where you're going to be. Always keep your consecutive interpreting skills brushed up to date, since you don't know which the next job will be or with whom. Thank you very much.